Hey guys, I'm Chelsea, and today I'm going to teach you guys a mat Pilates class of an intermediate advanced level using the Pilates ball and the 1.5 meter Theraband. So this Pilates class is most suitable for those of you guys who've been attending the open reformer classes. Cool. So just before we start, we're going to, with the band, tie a loop in one end. So if you just double a bit of it over and then tie it in a knot, just so there's a bit of a loop, so that you can put your foot into it later. And then we'll just put it to the side. Okay, so we're just going to start in standing. And if everyone just closes their eyes to start with, we're just going to start with focusing in on the feet first. So you want to feel like both feet are grounding down into the ground. You've got even weight between your right and your left foot. And if you imagine your foot as a tripod, you want even weight between your base of your big toe, the base of your little toe, and your heel. And then we're going to move our way up to the knees. So knees should be soft and not locked. Then we'll work our way up to the pelvis. So if you just put your fingers on your hip bones at the front and the little divots in your lower back at the top of your pelvis at your back, we're just going to imagine that pelvis as a bowl full of water, and we're just going to tip that bowl of water out the front first. And then you're going to tip the water out the back of the bowl. So you're tucking your tailbone under, dropping your tailbone down to the ground. We're just going to move back and forth that way. So arching your lower back, tipping the water out the front of the bowl, and then out the back. And then we're going to find that point where that bowl would remain most full. So normally that's with your tailbone dropping down towards the ground and hip bones pointing forward. And then from there we're just going to lengthen both sides of the waist. The rib cage should be stacked directly above your pelvis. Collarbones are wide and shoulder blades are just gently drawing down the back with gravity. And then the back of the neck's nice and long, almost imagining someone's pulling you from the crown of your head to the ceiling. And we're just going to start with taking a few really big breaths in. So breathing, you want to feel like that air is going right down to the base of your rib cage. And then exhaling. And then breathing in again. So imagining your ribs are expanding in all directions. And exhaling. And just as you keep going with the Pilates exercises, you want to try and maintain those big diaphragmatic breaths the whole time. Mainly because your diaphragm acts as the top part of your core, and it's just important that it's moving while you move your core and your pelvic floor. Okay, so we're going to start at one end of the mat, taking a really big breath in, and then as you exhale, we're going to do a roll down. So you're going to drop your chin to your chest, let your arms and head hang heavy, drawing your belly button in towards your spine as you let gravity roll you down to wherever feels comfortable to start with. Once you get to the bottom, taking a big breath in, and then we're going to roll back up. So think of where your sit bones are. You're drawing them down towards your heels, tucking them into the back of your hamstrings as you wheel your pelvis backwards first, and then you're restacking each vertebrae one at a time. Shoulders roll back and down and head restacks last, and we'll do it one more time. So breathing in, and then exhaling, chin to chest, lengthening through the back of the spine. And again, once you get to the bottom, to restack, you want to start with the pelvis, so feel it wheeling backwards. Only once it's back to that neutral full bowl position do you start restacking the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, shoulders roll, and then head restacks. Cool. And then we'll just warm up through the thoracic spine as well. So grabbing a hold of your ball, we're just going to stand with even weight through both feet, ball in front of the body, arms are straight, and we're just going to hold onto the ball with our right arm, and you're going to bring that arm behind you, and as you do, try and bring your right hip bone forward and reach your left arm forward. So you're lengthening from your crown of your head to your tailbone and rotating your torso. And then we'll untwist back to the front. So now with the left arm, bringing that behind, bring your left hip bone forward, growing taller. And then we'll untwist again. So we're just going to do that a couple more times each side. So just remember to pull that hip bone forward so that the pelvis stays as neutral as possible and it's just the thoracic spine that's rotating. And one more time each side. Okay. And then we'll just do a couple of balance exercises while we're in standing. So the ball just comes between your ankles. So even weight through both feet, we're going to rise up, so lifting the heels, keeping your hips high, we're going to come into your heels high, we're going to come into a squat. So arms come in front, hips lower. Once you're at the bottom, then you lower your heels and then you stand back up again. So coming up onto the toes, Arms forward, heels stay high until you get to the bottom of that squat. Then we lower the heels, stand back up. And we'll do that one 2 more times. So up, down, heels lower. And last one. And then we're going to reverse it. So now we're going to go down into a squat first, then you lift the heels. Once your heels are high, then we come back up to standing, and then you lower back down. So it's squat, calf raise, standing tall, heels lower, and we'll do that 2 more times as well. And last one. Okay. And then from there, we're going to just do some single leg squats. So if you just put the ball underneath one foot, we're going to stand onto the other foot, and you want to have at least 80% of your weight through your standing leg and as little as possible through the ball. So the first one, just make sure your hips are level before you start. Most of your weight through your standing leg, and we're just going to come back into a single leg squat. So your bottom goes behind like you're going to squat over a chair, and then you come back up to standing. So down and up. And with a squat, you want to make sure you're folding at your hips and your spine stays nice and straight. So as you come into the squat, literally your back stays completely neutral, butt sticks out behind, hip folds, and then you come back up. So just making sure you're not arching through your lower back as you come into a squat, and you're not trying to stay too upright with your upper body. So we'll keep going with that one on this leg just for now. Got 2 more. And then on this next one, we're going to come down into the squat, and we're just going to pulse up and down on that leg. So just have a quick check down, make sure your knees in line with your toes. Keep pulsing. And then we're going to get to the bottom of the squat, and we're going to hold it there for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come halfway up, one more hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we'll come the whole way up and just swapping the ball to go underneath the opposite foot. So standing on that leg, just again before you start, check hips are level. As little weight through that ball as possible. Make sure your knee bends in line with your toes, and we're coming into the single leg squat to start. So through full range, come right down, and then straightening the knee the whole way up. Again, just remember you're not keeping your chest upright, you're actually leaning forward to maintain your center of mass over your base of support as you come into the squat. And if you notice that your knee's turning in a little bit, just think of where your standing, the sit bone of the standing leg is, and you're going to try and pull it from behind towards the opposite sit bone. And that often turns your knee out from your hip. Okay, and then we're going to go down into that squat, just pulsing up and down, making sure you've got that same sort of tripod weight through the foot. So heel, base of big toe, little toe, even weight through all 3 of those points. Okay, then we're going to go down to the bottom of the squat and hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up a little bit higher for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then coming the whole way up. Good work, guys. Okay, so the next one we're going to do, this time grabbing the ball. This is the last one we'll do in standing. So we're just going to grab the ball, put it between your inner thighs, and then from there you're going to bring one foot in front of the other. And the aim with this one is try and keep your heels lifted, but if you find the balance a bit tricky, you can put them back down. So you're rising up onto your toes, and then we're going to come down into a squat again. And as you lift up, you're going to squeeze inwards on the ball and try and draw up through your pelvic floor. So heels are staying up, coming down, and then squeezing, lifting through your pelvic floor as you rise back up. So down, inner thigh squeeze. Okay, and then we're going to go down into that squat, hold it down there, and we're just going to squeeze in and out on the ball. So squeezing, using your inner thighs, and because your inner thighs connect into your pelvic floor, each time you squeeze, try and go for that little bit of a lift up through the pelvic floor muscles as well. Then we're going to keep the squeeze and pulse up and down for 10 seconds, so 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then coming slowly up, and then we'll lower the heels and swap to the other side. So just bringing the other foot in front, tucking under with your tailbone, making that pelvis nice and neutral as you lift up with the heels, and then we're going to start with the full range squats to start. So coming down into the squat and then squeezing as you lift. So yeah, do your best keeping your heels lifted. I know it gets tricky on the balance, and often one side's a lot easier than the other side. We'll go for 4 more of these ones. 4, 3, 2, and then holding down there, we're squeezing in and out on the ball. So using those inner thigh adductor muscles, and then lifting up through the pelvic floor as you squeeze. And then we're going to hold the squeeze on the ball and pulse up and down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up slowly. Give your legs a bit of a shake out, and then we're going to come down onto our backs. So if you prefer a pillow under your head, you can use that for now, or a rolled up towel, that's totally fine. Otherwise, if not, we're just going to come down onto our backs. The ball's going to go between our knees. And we're just going to set up in neutral again before we start in lying. So neutral in lying, you want to make sure that your pubic bone and your hip bones are parallel to the ground. If your pubic bone's higher, then you flatten too much. And if your pubic bone's lower, then you've got a little bit too much of an arch in your lower back. So neutral is that midpoint where those points are parallel to the ground. And then from there, again, you want to lengthen both sides of the waist. Make sure your rib cage is heavy and not flared. So the lower rib area should be touching the mat. And then collarbones are wide, and then just make sure those shoulders are sitting down away from the ears again. And what we're going to start is working into the abdominals. So we're just going to interlace the fingers, place them back behind the back of your head. And we're going to start with taking a big breath in. And then you're going to exhale as you squeeze the ball, drawing up through your pelvic floor and scooping your belly button towards your spine. Then we're going to curl the head and shoulders up. Think of tucking your bottom ribs down and in towards your heart. Once you're up, then you're going to reach both arms either side of your legs, curl up just an inch higher, hold at that height as you bring your hands back behind your head, and then we're going to lower the whole way back down again. So it's a squeeze of the ball, curling head and shoulders up, keeping your chin tucked in, arms reach either side of the legs. We're going to curl up just an inch higher, stay at that height, don't let this distance between your ribs and your hips lengthen until your hands come back behind your head, and then we lower the whole way down. So we're going to keep going with this one. If you want to make it harder or a bit more of a challenge on your lower abdominals, then the option is to bring your legs to tabletop. So just bringing one leg up, engaging through your abdominals, other leg comes up, and then we're going to add exactly the same thing. So curling up, squeezing the ball, arms reach, curl a little bit higher, hands behind the head, lowering back down. So whichever option's right for you, if you're in tabletop or with feet down. Just make sure if you are in tabletop that you're in true tabletop, so that's 90 degrees at your hips and knees. Just making sure your knees don't creep in too close towards your chest, or your feet don't drop too low below your knees. Okay, on the next one, when we get to the top of this little curl up with the arms extended, we're going to hold up there, reach the fingertips forward and back an inch for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then reach the fingertips as far away from your shoulders as you can, and then we're going to hold that height, squeeze the ball in and out with the knees. So you're going to squeeze in and out for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands come back behind your head. We're going to do 10 more sets of little crunches. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then rolling the whole way down. Ball can come out from between the knees. Placing your feet down, we'll just drop the knees from side to side. Just give the back a bit of a release. Okay, so the next one works into your lower abdominals. So we're going to hold the ball in our right hand, bring both legs to tabletop, and then we're going to push the ball against the back of the left knee. So right hand, left knee, and then left arm just rests down on the mat next to you. So what we're going to start with is just gently setting your shoulder away from your ear. And as you exhale, you're going to push the ball into your knee. And then feel your lower abdominals switch on. And you just want to scoop them in a little bit more if you can. So exhaling to push, drawing in through your lower abdominals and pelvic floor. And then inhaling as you release that pressure on the ball. So if this is enough of a challenge, you can stay in this position. If you want to make it harder, as you push, you're going to extend your right leg and then bring that leg back in again. So exhale to extend, and then inhale to come back in. And the lower that you go with your right leg as you extend it, the harder it is on your abdominals. So you want to go as low as you can go, but stop before you either get any back arching, any doming of your tummy, or if you start to feel like you're working into your lower back at all. Otherwise, we're going to go for 3 more on this side. So 3, 2, and then on the next one, we're going to hold that leg out, keep it extended. We're going to bring it 2 inches to the right and then back into alignment for 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg back into tabletop, lower the feet down, knees can drop from side to side. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this time, left hand, right knee, right arm relaxes by your side, legs come back to tabletop, pushing the ball into the back of the right knee, exhaling as you push, and then inhaling as you release. So again, each time you push, try and feel that little draw up through your pelvic floor, that tightening of that imaginary belt between both hip bones. And then whenever you're ready, if you want to, you can add the left leg extending as well. And as it starts to get tricky, just make sure you're not holding your breath. So always trying to take a big breath in right into the base of the diaphragm as you come in, and then letting all the air out of your lungs as you extend that leg away. Okay, 3, 2, and then on this last one, we hold it out there, and then bring it to the left, back in for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it in, lower both feet, arms to the side, windscreen wipering the knees again from right to left. And then the next one we're going to do is very similar. This one's for the oblique muscles of the sides. So this time we're going to hold the ball in the left hand and put it against the left leg. So legs come back to tabletop. Left hand, left leg, and right hand this time is going to come behind the back of your head. So from here, what we're going to do is curl up. So you're going to push the ball into the back of your knee, curl up, try and bring your elbow towards the ball, and then you lower back down again. So as you curl up, you also want to feel like your right rib is sliding towards your left hip bone, and your upper body is really just following what your rib cage leads. And again, the option to make this one harder is to extend the right leg as you curl. So kind of like a bicycle, push the ball, extend your right leg, and bring the elbow towards the ball. I'm going to go for 2 more like this. Then we're going to hold the elbow towards the ball, and we're going to bring just the right leg in and out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then keep that leg extended. Bring your right elbow towards the ball for 5 pulses. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then the leg can come in, lower them down, and then we'll just take a quick break before we do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we're going to hold ball right hand, back of the right knee, and left hand goes back behind the head. So legs back to tabletop, and we're just going to push the right hand into the knee and then curl the left elbow towards the ball. And then whenever you're ready, optional to add the left leg as well. So exhaling as you curl and extend, and inhaling as you come back down. Really focus on the rib cage leading the movement rather than you pulling your head up towards the ball. Okay, then we're going to stay in that curl up. We're going to bring the left leg in and out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then keeping that leg extended, we've got 5 pulses with the elbow. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, leg in, roll yourself down, place both feet down, and then we'll just do one last windscreen wiper of the knees. And we're just going to do one more for the abs while we're lying on our backs. So this time the ball goes between the ankles. So ball between ankles, legs are going to come back to tabletop, arms resting by your side. And then with this one, we're just going to slowly start extending the legs away from the body as far as you can go before you start to lose that neutral position of your pelvis, or if you start to get any doming of your tummy. So the legs extend, and then we bring them back into tabletop. So exhaling as you extend, and inhaling as you come back in. So if you can only go a couple of inches before you start to lose neutral, that's totally fine. Just go within the range that you can control. And again, if you want to make it harder, legs go lower. If you want to make it slightly easier, legs go higher. I'm going to go for 3 more like this if you can. So 3, 2, and then last one. Legs come back into tabletop. We'll pull the ball out, and then just giving the knees a hug in towards the chest. We'll circle them in one direction, and then circling them back the other way. Okay, we'll give the abs a bit of a rest and do some work into the glutes. So now we're just going to use the ball, put it back between the knees. Feet are going to creep in so your heels are close to your butt. Arms rest by your side to start. We're going to take a big breath in, and then from there we're going to tip our pelvis backwards, flatten the lower back, and then start peeling up each vertebrae one at a time. So you're squeezing your glutes, trying to bring your knees, hips, shoulders into a straight line. Once you're at the top, we're going to bring the arms back behind the body, thumbs point down, and then we're going to roll the whole way back down again. So trying to feel each vertebrae touch down one after another. Once your tailbone touches, arms can come back next to the body, and then we're going to go again. So pelvis tips backwards first, squeezing your glutes, rolling yourself up. When you come to the top, you want to try and bring your pubic bone back towards your sternum as much as you can. Think of squeezing your sit bones into the back of your hamstrings. And then the arms come back behind, and then melting back down. And we'll go for a couple more like this, just working on that nice spinal articulation. So rolling up pubic bone to sternum, shortening that distance from your hips to your rib cage. Arms behind, roll back down. And I have really tight shoulders, so I make this exercise look really difficult. It's actually quite a nice one. And then arms next to you. Last one, rolling up, squeezing glutes, arms reach overhead. Roll yourself back down. Okay, and then we're going to keep the arms next to the body. Now we're going to focus more on strengthening the glutes. So you're going to roll yourself back up to the top of the bridge. From there, make sure your knees, hips, shoulders are in a straight line. shortening that distance from your ribs to your hip bones. And then we're just going to squeeze the ball in and out with the knees. So don't let the hips drop. You're just squeezing, using your inner thighs for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the little squeeze. Drop your hips halfway down. Lift back up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to slowly roll back down, take a mini break at the bottom for 1 sec, roll back up, and we're going to do a second set of those ones. So rolling right up, squeezing your glutes, pulling your sit bones into your hamstrings. Then we've got 10 in and out squeezes for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the squeeze halfway down, back up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll the whole way down. Have a break at the bottom. Give your knees a hug in towards your chest. Just give them a bit of a circle round. And then we're going to do one more with the ball between the knees. So only if you can keep your hips level on this one, carry on. Otherwise, just go back to one more set of what we just did. So we're rolling back up to the top of the bridge, shortening that rib to hips distance. Once you're at the top, squeeze the ball slightly. Without letting anything else move, you're going to extend one leg, lower it down, push down through that heel, extend the other leg. So we're going to go for 10 of those. So we've got 8 to go. So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Lower the heel, roll yourself the whole way down, and then we're just going to pull the ball out. Give your knees one last hug in towards your chest. And then you're going to grab your band with the loop in it, and you're just going to put the loop over your right foot. Then we're going to do one set of single leg bridging on both sides. So with this one, hold the other end of the band, anchor your elbows down into the back of the mat, back of your elbows into the mat, and then we're going to extend our right leg up to the ceiling, squeeze your left glute, and then we're going to roll up into a single leg bridge. Once you're at the top, you're going to lower that right leg parallel with the left, bring it back up to the ceiling, and then we're going to roll back down again. So try your best to keep both hip bones level, really reaching up through that right leg. Lower, lift, roll down. I'm going to go for 5 of these. So this is number 3. Lower, lift. If you're getting a hamstring cramp, really focus on squeezing that glute before you lift the hip. So if the glute's not doing enough, sometimes that's when the hamstring cramps. So you might need to really focus on consciously activating your glute before you lift the hips. This is the last one. And then we're going to stay at the top of this bridge, and we're going to lift and lower that right leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then right leg extends to the roof. We're going to pulse the hips up and down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then roll yourself the whole way down. Awesome work. We'll swap it over to the other leg. So band's going to loop over the left foot, anchoring those elbows down into the mat, and then we're starting with those full range bridges to start with. So squeezing that right glute, rolling up into the bridge. Once you're at the top, lower the leg, lift the leg, roll back down. So up, squeeze the right glute, hips as level as you can. We've got 5 of these ones. So this one is number 3. 4. 5. And then we're staying up there for 5 lift and lowers. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Leg to the roof. We've got 5 hip pulses for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then roll the whole way down. And then once you're at the bottom, we'll just do a bit of a hamstring stretch on both sides. So keeping your legs straight, extend your other one away. And then we're just going to pull it in towards you till you get a nice stretch through the back of the hamstrings. Mine are super tight, as usual. Just going to hold it. So each time you exhale, see if you can relax into that stretch a little bit more. So let go of any tension. And then we'll just swap it over to the right leg. So just pulling it in till you feel that nice stretch down the back of the leg. Should feel strong but comfortable. And if your body starts shaking and resisting a lot, that probably means you've just pulled a little bit too far into it. So just back off a little bit. And then we'll take the foot out of the band. We're going to work on the abdominals again. So keep a hold of the band and we'll just put the ball next to us. We're going to start at the bottom. So lying down, we're going to do a roll up. So hands go back behind your head. Then we're going to reach the hands to the ceiling, tuck your chin towards your chest, and we're just going to roll ourselves up each vertebrae one at a time until we're up in sitting. And then from now, we're going to try and undo the knot in the band, hopefully. It's always easier said than done. Okay, and then we're going to use our bands for some roll-ups or half roll-ups. If you start to feel anything into your back, you can use your ball and put that right in close towards your lower back, and then you can lean into your ball, and that just gives you a little bit more support, but I'll demonstrate without it. So we're just going to sit up nice and straight, so even weight through both sit bones, holding onto your band about shoulder width apart, and then what you're going to do is round your back. So you're coming into a bit of a C-curve position, shortening the distance from your ribs to your hip bones, and then we're going to roll back just to the point before where you feel like your feet want to lift off the mat. Then from there, we're going to lift the arms overhead, keep the shoulders away from the ears, and then we're going to open the band, close the band, bring the hands back in front of the shoulders, keeping a round back, you roll forward, and then you sit up straight. And we're going to do that again. So rounding your back, rolling back to wherever you can, maintain the foot position, arms come up, and then this time we're going to open and close the arms twice. So open for 1 and 2. And then lowering the arms again, keeping that round back coming forward, sitting up. And then we're going to go again. So this time we're going to do 3, and each time we're going to add more until we get to 5. So arms up and opening for 3, 2, trying to skip to the last one, and 1, arms down, roll forward, sit up, and then we're going back for 4. If you can go any lower this time, see if you can. And then we got 4, 3, 2, 1, coming forward, restacking, and then last one for 5. So rolling back, make sure those shoulders are sitting away from the ears, arms overhead, opening and closing for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the arms in front of the shoulders. We're going to pulse back and forth to 10 little pulses. So 10, 9, 8, 7. Try and keep that C curve. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then come the whole way forward. You can just rest your head between your knees and take a few deep breaths. And then the next one we're going to do is combining some abdominals with some shoulders. So we're just going to loop the band around the feet. crossing it over, so you're swapping hands. And then we're going to keep it flat back this time. So you're keeping a nice straight back. You're going to hinge backwards from your hips, lean backwards in a diagonal. And then we're going to just do some rows. So you're drawing your elbows behind you, drawing your shoulder blades back, and then the arms come back in front. So just get however much resistance you need on the band. And we're just leaning back, doing some rows, trying to keep as long and straight as you can through your spine. So as your arms come back, try and open up through the collarbones, and as your arms come forward, try and keep that width across the front of the chest. So you should feel those muscles between your shoulder blades working a little bit with this one. Okay, then we're going to keep doing what we're doing, but we're going to do a single arm with a bit of a twist as well. So you're staying in that backwards lean, and then you're going to row and twist to one side, come back to the middle, and then row and twist to the other side. So as you twist, you're trying to rotate your breastbone. Keep that shoulder blade drawing back towards the center of your spine. And this one you should feel into your oblique muscles as well as into the arms. We're going to go for 4 more, so 2 more to each side. 4, 3, 2, 1. Arms in front, coming forward, and then we'll just sit up straight, give your legs a little bit of a shake out, and we'll just pull the band out from underneath the feet. And we're just going to do 1 more in this seated position. So we're going to hold on to the band how we had it before, so holding on in front of your shoulders, that shoulder width apart. This time we're going back to a round back, so you're rounding your back into that C-curve position. And we're going to rotate, so we're going to hold onto the band, rotate to the left. Once you're there, pull your left hand and rotate a little bit further. Then bring the left hand back in, untwist slightly, and then we're going to fully unwind back to the front. Do the same on the other side. So rotating to the right, keep that C-curve, pull with your right arm, rotate further. Arm comes in, and then we're going to untwist back to the front. So twisting, breastbone twists, pull that a little bit further, see if you can twist your torso a tiny bit more. And then unwinding. I'm going to go for just 1 more to each side. So twisting, pull that a little bit further, twist a tiny bit more. Hand comes in, untwist. Last time, rotating, pull a little bit further, let the tension off the band. We'll untwist back to the front, and then we'll just slowly roll back down again. So really slowly, trying to roll backwards from your pelvis first, through your lower back, middle back, upper back, and then your head touches, and then we'll have a break for a sec. Put the band to the side, and then we're going to come up into 4-point kneeling this time. So we'll just make sure the band's somewhere in reach. We're going to start with hands underneath shoulders, knees are underneath hips, and we're going to do a cat-camel stretch, just to get that full range of movement through the spine. So starting with tucking your tailbone under, looking towards your knees, and then we're going to reverse it the other way. So sending your tailbone to the ceiling, shining your breastbone forward and looking straight ahead. So I like to imagine I have a torch between my bum cheeks, and I'm shining that torch down the wall as much as I can. And then I'm going to shine that torch up the wall as much as I can. Breastbone goes forward. And then just coordinating that torch shining with some big breaths again. So making sure you're expanding right into the rib cage. This is a really good one if you've been stuck behind your desk, home officing, or trying to use a laptop on the couch. Last one. Cool. Then we'll just do a little bit of tricep work combined with some abdominals. So you're going to hold the band underneath your right hand or loop it around your hand, and the other end of the band in your left hand. Coming into 4-point kneeling, so nice neutral long spine. So feel like you're being pulled from the crown of your head to your tailbone in opposite directions. Lifting your belly button towards the ceiling. We're going to start with that left elbow in next to your body, and we're going to do some tricep extensions. So you're just going to bend and extend from the elbow And just keep checking in that your supporting arm, that shoulder's keeping a good distance away from the earlobe. If you want to make it heavier, you obviously just wrap your hand, the band further around your hand so you get a bit more tension on it. And if you want to target your abdominals a little bit more and your stability a bit more, we're going to keep going, but with your right leg extended behind you. So hips stay level, extend that right leg behind. Going to keep going with those tricep extensions. And then we're going to keep that left arm straight, and we're just going to lift and lower a straight arm for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the arm still. We're going to lift and lower the right leg, just pulsing it at the top for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Knee can come down. We'll just sit back into child's pose. Give your wrists a couple of rollouts. And then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So band under the left hand, back into 4-point kneeling, so nice long neutral spine. Doing right tricep extensions, so sitting that left shoulder away from the ear, and we're just going to bend and extend that right elbow. So just make sure that your elbow and your upper arm stays in parallel with your torso. The only segment that's moving is your elbow. So if you want to make it harder, we start extending that left leg, hold it out there. Then we're going to keep the right arm extended and just lift and lower from the shoulder for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep the arm lifted. We're going to pulse the leg up and down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome work. Sit back into child's pose. Take a few deep breaths. Put the band to the side. And then we're just going to swap it for the ball. So we're going to do some abdominals in 4-point kneeling now. So we'll just wriggle back down the other end of the mat. Balls coming between your knees. Hands go back underneath shoulders. Toes tuck under and knees are under hips. So finding that neutral pelvis position and spine again. We're just going to maintain that position. Use your abdominals to lift yourself up away from the mat. Just going to lift and hover the knees 2 inches without letting anything else move. And then we're squeezing in and out on the ball. So just doing those inner thigh pulses again into the ball. Nothing else moves. Just making sure your lower back doesn't start to arch. You want to keep exactly the same distance from your bottom ribs at the front to those hip bones at the front. The second they lengthen, it means you're shortening and arching your lower back. If you notice that your back arches, just drop down, take a break, rejoin when you're ready. Otherwise, we're going to keep a little squeeze, drop your knees, tap the ball, lift back up, and drop and tap. So as you lift, you want to feel like that movement is being driven by your abdominals. And go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then dropping down. Sitting back into child's pose again. Rolling out your wrists. So if that last one was enough of a challenge, just do another set of exactly those ones. If you want to make it slightly harder, this time we're going to do exactly the same thing. So lifting and hovering the knees, an inch or two, then you're going to squeeze the ball, try not to let anything move and lift one leg. And then you're going to alternate to the other side. So swapping from side to side, trying to keep your upper body, your pelvis, and your back completely still and stable as that load transfers from your right side to your left side. I'm going to go for 4 more. So 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping down. I'm shaking and bum back towards heels. And then taking some big deep breaths. You can bring both hands to the left side of the mat, open up through that right side of your rib cage, try and fan it out. Each inhale, imagine your ribs are stuck together with glue, and each inhale you're trying to separate that glue with a massive breath. And then we'll bring both hands to the other side. So really trying to fan out and open through that left side of the rib cage, taking some big breaths. And then just coming back to the middle. Ball can go to the side. We're just going to do a variation of the one we just did. So back into 4-point, but then walk your hands about a foot or so further in front. And then from there, otherwise it's the same to start. So lifting up through your abdominals, connecting your ribs to your hip bones. Don't let that lengthen at any point. We're just going to lift and hover the knees, scoop the belly button towards the spine, and then we're going to push forward into a full plank. And we're going to hold it there for a sec, and then come back to the start position. Try and just hover your knees, and then push forward again to a plank. So we're just going to slowly move between those two positions. As you push out into that plank, just making sure your back doesn't arch. So try and draw that pubic bone up towards your sternum, keeping that length through the lower back. Otherwise, this is going to be the last one. We're going to hold that full plank. So as long as you can be from your crown of your head to your tailbone, we're going to hold it for 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop to your knees. We'll sit just back one more time. And then we're just going to do some normal planks. So we're going to try and hold just a normal face down plank for a minute. And then we're going to do a side plank if you can for 45 seconds. But if at any point you lose form or you start feeling things into your back, just drop down earlier. So for the full plank, just make sure your elbows are directly under your shoulders. Legs are straight, tailbone's tucked under, your butt's not too high and it's not too low that you're arching into your back. So when we're in position, we'll start now for attempting a minute. I don't even know if I can do a minute, but we'll give it a crack. While you're in this plank, try and keep lifted from underneath your breastbone, just so try and lift your breastbone up away from the mat. So you're not collapsing into your shoulders. Also try and keep that really long back of the neck. Almost like you're creating a mini double chin. Okay, we're halfway. Got another 10 seconds, so keep breathing. Keep that connection from your ribs to your hip bones. Got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's drop to the knees. We'll do a couple of camel stretches, and then we'll do attempt 45 seconds of side planks on both sides. I'm sweating. So for the side plank, elbow goes under your shoulder again. Feet are stacked on top of each other. Make sure your hip bones are stacked as well. And then from there, we're just going to lift up underneath your rib cage, lift up underneath your hip, extend your top arm to the ceiling, and then we're going to start time from now. So again, you just want to make sure you're not arching your lower back. So try and keep that distance from your ribs to your hip bones nice and short. So an option to make the last 15 seconds harder is to add a thread the needle. So a thread the needle is where your top arm, you thread it underneath, rotate your chest to the ground, and then you come back onto the side. So if you want to finish it off, there's 10 seconds to go with some thread the needles. That is up to you. And that is 45 seconds. Well done. So we'll swap it over to the other side. Just take my clock with me. So setting up the same way again, elbow under shoulder, feet are stacked, hips are stacked. And then from there, we're going to lift up underneath the armpit, underneath the bottom hip bone, and time starts. So again, just shorten that distance through the front line of your body. Coming up to 30 seconds. So if you want to, for the last 15 seconds, add the thread the needle. We'll go for it. So threading that top arm underneath and then reaching it up towards the ceiling. And last 3 seconds. And you're done on that one. And we're just going to finish with some stretches. So a bit of a cool down for the last few minutes. So if you just bring your legs into this position, so one leg parallel in the front and the other one to the side. I'm just going to do a mermaid stretch to stretch through the side of the body. So hand touches the mat, then you reach your top arm up and over. Try and create a C curve in the bottom and top side of your waist. Breathing into the top side of your rib cage. And then we're going to reverse it to the other side. So grabbing a hold of your shin and then reaching your other arm up and over. Trying to create that C curve. Trying to fan out that top side of your rib cage. And we'll do it again. So really try and focus on getting an opposite line of pull from your top fingertips to your top hip bone. So your arm reaches up and your hip bone pulls the other way. One more time to the other side. And then we'll swap it. So this is like a mat version of the mermaid that you do on the reformer. Okay, so we'll do the same on the other side. So hand on the mat, reaching up and over with the top arm, creating an opposite line of pull from your fingertips to your hip bone, expanding into that top side of your rib cage with your inhale. And then we'll reverse it the other way. One more time to each side. Reaching up and over. And then we're just going to come down onto our sides. Finish with a bow and arrow stretch or a book opener stretch. If you have a pillow, grab one. Otherwise, you can use your ball, oh, oops, it was there, and put it underneath your head as a pillow. So lying onto our sides. Then we're just going to cross our top leg over, hook it under the bottom leg. Arms reach in front. Keeping your pelvis still, we're going to rotate our chest to the ceiling. Try and get the top ribs to touch the mat. That didn't actually work, so just try and use a pillow, not a ball. And then we're going to rotate back onto the side again. So twisting breastbone to ceiling, try and feel your top ribs pull down towards the mat behind you. So a better use of the ball would actually be put it underneath your knee and try and keep your knee pushing down into the ball the whole time so that your pelvis doesn't twist. And we'll just go for 2 more. And then we'll swap it over to the other side. So try that again. So just a pillow under your head rather than a ball. And then the ball underneath your knee. So top knee pushes into the ball, arms in front. And then you're just going to rotate your breastbone to the ceiling. Try and get that top back of your rib cage down to the mat. And then untwisting. And as you do this, try and really focus on massive breaths so that you're getting maximal expansion between each rib, giving your intercostals a big stretch. Also a really good one to do if you've been stuck behind a desk, doing home office or Netflixing. And last one. Good work. And then we'll roll onto our backs, do a glute stretch. So if you just cross your left foot onto the back of your right knee, and then we're going to either grab behind your thigh or you can grab in front of your shin. And then we're just going to try and keep the tailbone anchoring down into the mat, and then you're going to pull that leg in until you feel a big stretch through your glute. We're just going to hold that, try and take some big breaths. Each exhale again, see if you can let go of some tension. See if that lets you pull your leg in a little bit closer and get slightly deeper into your stretch. And we'll swap it over. So right leg crosses over, grabbing either behind your thigh or shin. Keep your tailbone pushing down into the mat. So you're hinging from your hip rather than flexing from your spine as well. And then again, just closing the eyes, and each exhale, see if you can let go of any tension. And then we'll just finish the same way that we started. So if you make your way up to standing at the end of the mat, we'll finish with a couple of roll downs again. So even weight through both feet, taking a big breath in, letting your chin drop to your chest, arms and head hang really heavy, rolling yourself forward, trying to create that huge C curve through the back line of the body. When you get to the bottom, just releasing any tension through your neck or shoulders. And then to restack, you're going to start wheeling your pelvis backwards, so try and get your sit bones to pull down towards your heels, restacking vertebrae by vertebrae, whole way to the crown of the head. One last time, breathing in and out, rolling forward. And then restacking, scooping in through your abdominals. Go for a couple of big backward shoulder rolls. And then you guys are all done. Good work.